talk about something a bit less depressing. The new Witcher show on Netflix. As some of you may know, there was quite a bit of, let's call it discussion surrounding this while it was in production, and for most of the reasons you would expect. Of course, there was the, sadly normal for this day and age, accusations and counter-accusations of wokeness, SJW agenda pushing, etc., but also there was a lot of heated discussion just simply because of how highly revered the Witcher franchise is at this point. Many were worried, and rightly so, that this would be another unmitigated disaster spawned from the all too familiar formula of major company with lots of money tries to exploit a beloved brand for easy cash. I was one of them. In fact, I was relatively sure it was going to be a complete and total horror show. However, to my extremely pleasant surprise, it wasn't. It was actually really fucking awesome. Currently, I've only watched the first 6 episodes, which is more than other self-proclaimed professional critics can say, like Entertainment Weekly, for instance, who gave it a 0 after admitting that they only watched 2 episodes. I'm sure I don't need to tell any of you to completely ignore these incompetent industry lackeys. It's basically a foregone conclusion now that the access media will almost always come out against any genre media that shows even a sliver of respect for its audience and fans, and as we can see, The Witcher is no different. It's been joked about before, but I feel the need to reiterate. These days you can all but guarantee that the quality of something can be counted on to be a direct inverse of whatever the access media has to say about it. So yeah, The Witcher is pretty fucking great. Henry Cavill channels the nuances of Geralt's unique blend of wry humor and mysterious brooding super effectively, and the set pieces, cinematography, it's all gorgeous. For the most part, the rest of the cast is generally pretty great too. Yennefer, I think, is cast perfectly, and even though the choice for Ciri threw me off a bit at first, I found myself really liking her pretty quickly. The only real misstep in casting, in my opinion, is Triss. I know they've said a lot of their choices were based on the novels and not the games. Whether that's just an excuse to justify some sort of diversity agenda, I don't know. I've never read the books, but what I can tell you is that a non-redhead playing Triss kind of fucked me up. Even all that being said, and my personal nitpicking aside, the cast do generally deliver really solid performances all around. Even the guy that plays Dandelion the Bard, at least I think that's him, is pretty great. The songs are even kind of catchy too. Another high point is the combat, surprisingly. It's very visceral, super well edited, and does a great job of exhibiting just what an absurd badass Geralt is. Lots of blood, lots of brutality. I get the impression that a lot of people thought maybe the more R-rated aspects of this would be dialed back because, you know, Netflix, but this is not the case. Lots of nudity and ultra-violence here. This is not to say that it's all good though. Yes, the black scrotum duct tape armor is in full effect. No, it doesn't look quite as bad as the leaked images made it seem like it would, but it's definitely not great. The writing is a mixed bag too, unfortunately. Some truly great moments here and there, and overall pretty competent, but this just makes it all the more jarring when it does completely drop the ball in places, and oof, it definitely does. Some seriously cringeworthy and facepalm dialogue here, folks, but fortunately, at least not in my opinion, it's not bad or frequent enough to totally ruin it. Yes, though, it does prevent this from attaining early seasons of Game of Thrones level of quality or grit, but there's still plenty to like here. And now let's quickly just run through a few random grievances. Yes, the first episode drags like a motherfucker. Yes, the first couple episodes are also disjointed and downright weird at times too. Yes, they do spend large amounts of screen time developing other main characters that aren't Geralt. At first I found this a little annoying, but I thought it paid off in the end. For example, when they first started developing Ciri and Yennefer's characters, I did get a little bored. Those scenes did tend to drag, but after 3 episodes, I was invested in their characters enough to not really mind at all. I could go on, but I trust you see my point. It's not perfect. Far from it, but it is definitely good and certainly far better than I was expecting or that it had any right to be, really. But the real world test is usually what I use to judge something, and that went like this. I put the first episode on when I got in bed the other night, not expecting to really fuck with it, and before I knew it, my girl was passed out, it was 6 a.m., and I'd watched 6 episodes straight. So whatever else I may have to say about it, you can't really argue with results like that. B+.